Fellas, welterweight is the best division in the UFC, and it's not even close. Obviously, this weekend we've got UFC 322, where we've got like 3 top welterweight fights in the main card. Della Maddalena versus Makhachev, Brady Morales, Edwards versus Protez. But if you just rewind a few years ago, this division was honestly one of the worst in the UFC. It was the definition of stale. Like, throwback to just 2022 when you had Leon Edwards as the champion, a boring champion at that. And listen, I'm a British guy saying this. Leon Edwards, when he was the champion, no personality, couldn't sell a fight to save his life, was not a good face of the welterweight division, and obviously fighting-wise, he would never entertain any fight. Not a single one of his title fights was fun, apart from that one head kick he had over Usman. Apart from that, every single one of his title fights was stale and boring, win or loss. And you look at the rest of the division as well. Number 1 was Usman on a 2-fight losing streak to Leon Edwards. Number 2 was Colby Covington, who was like a win-loss fighter and was coming off a decision with a Jorge fucking Masvidal. Number 3, you had Chimaev, who's going to be moving to the middleweight division. You had Belal Muhammad, who's the only fresh contender, which, you know, it's a bit concerning when Belal is the only fresh contender. You had Gilbert Burns, who was 1-1 in his last 2 fights, but that would then go on to go 1-4 in his next 5 fights. You had Stephen Thompson, who was 39 years old and hasn't won a fight since the Kevin Holland win. And then apart from that, apart from maybe Shavkat Rakhmonov, you had nobody with momentum in the welterweight division. It was an awful state. I mean, the biggest fights at the time was like Belal versus Burns and Edwards versus Covington and Shavkat versus Neal. None of which was super, you know, intriguing fights apart from maybe Shavkat versus Neal. And the welterweight division was just in a state. Nothing to look forward to. No fresh contenders. No entertaining fights. When the only fresh contender is Belal Muhammad, you know the division is in a bit of a stale position. Where you look at welterweight now, I mean, you've got JDM as the champion, undefeated in the UFC, big winning streak, and the guy goes out there and scraps. Fair enough, people can compare him personality-wise to Leon Edwards. He's not a charismatic guy, but the guy goes out there, and he's never had a boring fight in the UFC. He's either finishing people with his hands, knocking people out, or he's having fight of the year contenders like he just did with Belal Muhammad. He's an entertaining champion, and you can't deny that. And he's about to be in the biggest fight in MMA right now with Islam Makhachev. That's the best title fight we've had in the welterweight division in a long time. You've got Makhachev, the former lightweight champion, moving up, pound for pound number 1. And even just you look down the rest of the division. Number 2, Sean Brady. Sean Brady's in a great career spot. 18-1. He's only lost to Belal Muhammad. He's on a 3-fight winning streak. Just dominated Leon Edwards better than anybody's done before. Apart from that, you've got Shavkat Rakhmonov, undefeated in his entire MMA career. Huge winning streak, 19-0 with nearly every single one of them, apart from the Ian Gary win being a finish. He's one of the most intriguing contenders as well. You go down the list as well. You've got Edwards and Usman. Usman's in a good career spot. Obviously, former welterweight champion. Just got that really dominated win over Joaquin Buckley. He's straight into contention. You've then got Ian Gary. Ian Gary, again, lost to Shavkat, coming off the win over Protez. Probably one of the better kind of contenders that has a chance of becoming a champion. He's another top contender. You've got the likes of Michael Morales, 18-0, undefeated. Just knocked out Gilbert Burns, one of the better knockout machines we've got coming up at welterweight, also competing on this card. You go down even more, Carlos Protez, one of the most powerful, nasty, kind of killer strikers we've got in the UFC, who has that touch of death, who just flatlined Jeff Neal. And just look at some of the fights we've got as well coming up in the welterweight division. There's a contrast to what it was a few years ago. Like I said, Maddalena versus Makhachev, super fight, one of the biggest fights in welterweight history, definitely one of the best welterweight title fights we've had in the last few years. Brady versus Morales, the best striker versus the best grappler in the division, probably should be a title eliminator. 18-0 versus 18-1, another top fight. Belal Muhammad versus Ian Gary, another good fight that I'm expecting to be good. 2 very well-rounded guys, 2 guys who are both at a similar level. Again, a potential title eliminator for the welterweight division. Leon Edwards versus Carlos Protez, one of the best striker versus striker matchups you can make at welterweight right now. Technique versus pure power. And even last week, Randy Brown versus Gabriel Bonfim, where Randy Brown got flatlined in the main event against Gabriel Bonfim. And people like to say that lightweight's stacked. That's always kind of been the face of the UFC, the lightweight division. Right now, it's really not stacked. Like, you can look at the lightweight division. You've got Ilia Topuria as a champion. Now, obviously, finishes everybody, good on the mic, but he never wants to defend his belt. He didn't want to do it at featherweight, and now he doesn't want to do it at 155. And he's fought once this year over Charles Oliveira. He's already rejected the fight with Sarukian. He hasn't been active at all. He could have definitely fit at least 2 fights in this year. That's the guy, that's the champion of the division. You've then got Arman Sarukian, who's obviously hasn't fought since April of 2024, nearly 2 years since he's last fought. He's obviously now booked against Dan Hooker, where he's only promo for his entire UFC career just how much he can eat food. His whole personality is him being a fat bastard and him obviously being this rich guy. That's his only way of promoting fights. And then you've got Paddy and Gaethje, who are like the 2 top contenders. You've got Paddy, who only really wants to seem to fight Ilia. You've got Gaethje, who only really wants to seem to fight Ilia. And again, they've both fought only once this year. Poirier, Paddy fighting Chandler, and Gaethje fighting Fiziev, and those are the two top contenders in the division. Obviously, you've got Oliveira versus Holloway, who could produce a great fight, but it's hard to sell them as contenders when they've both been knocked out by Ilia Topuria, and they're also both coming towards the end of their career. And again, you look at the rest of the lightweight division, there's no fresh contenders. There's also not a single fresh contender coming up in the lightweight division who hasn't lost to another contender. And you look at the welterweight contenders right now, like I said, it's in the best position it's been in. You've got Gary, Brady, Shavkat, Usman, Protez, Makhachev. Welterweight's in one of the best states it's been in the case of contenders. It's stacked. The top lightweight contenders outside of maybe Arman Sarukian, who's inactive, is Gaethje and Paddy fucking Pimbleberry. This is the division now, and I think welterweight's also one of the most desired divisions in the UFC for fighters. Like, you have Islam Makhachev, pound for pound #1 lightweight champion, moving up to 170. You've got Ilia Topuria, who's also said he wants to move up to 170 and trace that triple champ status. You've got Hermansson versus Orobai next week, where you've got a middleweight moving down to 170 and a lightweight moving up to 170, going against each other. You've got McGregor versus Chandler, rumoured for the White House, which when it first originally booked, was booked at 170. And I think another thing that makes this division good is it's stacked and competitive. Like, you look at bantamweight, for example. Bantamweight's a stacked division. A lot of big names, one of the most stacked, talent-stacked divisions, but it ain't really competitive. You've got one guy dominating the division. The top contenders ain't really fighting each other. As stacked as it is, it's not this super competitive division, whereas I think what makes welterweight so good is, again, it's stacked. We've already been over the list of contenders, but it's also competitive. You've got guys beating each other. The welterweight champion in JDM, people think Makhachev's going to beat him. It's an intriguing title fight. It's not just one dominating champion. I think it's in one of the best careers. But if anything, I think welterweight's almost too stacked. Like, if you imagine that Protez knocks out Leon at UFC 322, Gary knocks out Bilal Muhammad, and Brady dominates Morales, he's going to get to the point where welterweight, when you've got the winner of Della Madlena versus Makhachev, you've got Gary, Brady, Protez, Usman, Shavkat, and even Ilia moving up. You've got like 6 different guys who could challenge the winner of Madlena versus Makhachev for the belt, and there's no right or wrong answer. Every single one of those guys are going to be calling for a title fight, and to be fair, every single one of those guys would have earned a title fight. It's just that stacked. There isn't one contender to, stoop their head over and, say that they're next. So this is how I think the welterweight title picture should play out. Let's say all of these contenders, let's say everything that I've just said happens, I'm going to left with like 6 different top contenders. I'm going to rule out Ilia for now. I don't think Ilia should be in the welterweight talks just because he's got work at lightweight. You fought once in the lightweight division against Oliveira. You've still got work to do, and there's just too many contenders at 170. Fair enough, I don't mind Ilia moving up when welterweight's a bit stale, but right now, it's anything but stale. I think Ilia can definitely add a bit to 155. I'm also going to rule out Carlos Protez. He lost to Gary a fight ago. If he was undefeated and he beat Gary, I'd definitely be calling for his name, but he did lose to Ian Gary a fight ago, so it doesn't make sense why he'd be above Gary. And beating Leon shouldn't really give you a title shot. If Sean Brady's not going to get a title shot from finishing Leon, I don't know why Carlos Protez after that would get a title shot. I'm also going to rule out Kamaru Usman for getting the next title shot because he's won one of his last 4 fights, and beating Joaquin Buckley shouldn't get you a title fight. In fact, if you look at the welterweight division now, he hasn't beaten a single top contender right now at welterweight, so I think for Usman, he's going to have to be ruled out, which leaves us with 3 contenders. You've got Ian Gary, Sean Brady, and Shavkat Rakhmonov. I'm going to rule out Shavkat for now just because he's too inactive. Now, he obviously is the most deserving on resume-wise, but again, he hasn't fought since 2024. He fought once, well, he fought in December of 2024. Before that, December of 2023. Hasn't fought once this year, and even himself and his team have gone out and said that they're willing to fight again before the title fight, which leaves us with 2 top contenders, Sean Brady and Ian Gary, assuming that Gary beats Bilal and Brady beats Morales. So how I think the welterweight title picture should play out is whoever wins between Della Madlena and Makhachev should face Sean Brady. I believe Sean Brady's the #1 contender. Let's say Islam wins, for example. Let's say Makhachev beats Della Madlena. I think Makhachev versus Brady should be the next fight. I don't think there should be this rush to move up to Poirier, and I think Brady, he arguably deserved the title fight after beating Lee, and I think if he can shut down Morales, Brady's undeniably the next contender. He's going to be #1. And I think he should be next. And if after all this, Makhachev's the champion, so for example, if Makhachev beats JDM and then Brady, then I don't mind doing like a Topuria versus Makhachev super fight, because why wouldn't you? You're stupid not to. It'd be one of the biggest fights in the UFC. Whereas if somebody else is the champion, so if JDM beats Makhachev and Brady, or Brady ends up beating one of them, I think Ian Gary should get his title shot, because again, I think at that point, Gary would have earned his title fight, and again, he's one of the only top contenders right now who can really say they've earned a title fight. And apart from that, the rest of the division, I'd probably do the winner of Leon and Protez against Shavkat Rakhmonov like a title eliminator too. I think if Protez or Leon win, they definitely don't deserve a title fight next, but they should be really close to it, and I think it's a great comeback fight for Shavkat Rakhmonov. And in terms of Usman, I'd probably put him against the loser of Della Madlena and Makhachev. If JDM loses to Makhachev, I think him and Usman's an easy fight in that main event in Perth. I think if Makhachev loses to Della Madlena, him against a former champion, a former GOAT in Usman, I also think would be a massive fight. So that's just my thoughts on the welterweight division, the fight that I would make in this division right now. Let me know your thoughts on 170. I think it's in the best spot it's ever been in. I think 170 right now is the best division in the UFC. I don't really think anything can compare to it. So let me know your thoughts on 170. Let me know your thoughts on welterweight. Thank you for watching.